I'm visiting with Deb Emme. She's a candidate for Ward 2 in Mitchell City Council. Deb, why are you running for the City Council?
I just feel it's important to give voice to the little guys. I am one that I'm not afraid to say I live paycheck to paycheck, um, and I think that a majority of the time, people really don't stop and think about the lower income and on what effect that raising all these taxes and prices and everything like that is really actually doing to all of us.
Okay, what special skills or knowledge would you bring to city government?
As far as special skills and knowledge, I do come with Janklow, Governor Bill Janklow, as one of my cousins. So I do have that background and knowledge of the government. And I may not have the actual physical, but I do listen to the community, and I do think it's important to have not only your career politicians, but a normal, regular, average Joe able to speak for those.
Deb, what do you believe should be the city's three top priorities over the next 3 years?
Top priorities are number one is getting more activities for youth to be involved in at a lower cost. There are, like I told Ellen with the newspaper, there are so many people that are willing to donate their time. There's so many service organizations that are looking for service projects that it is not hard to create all these activities for these younger kids. And let's face it, you look around, we've got the ice skating rink, the bowling alley, and then that place for teens on Fridays. What really do we have for our children now that Thirsties is moving into the bowling alley? There's really nothing. And then the second thing is, of course, helping Dave Fennell clean up the building on 3rd to get 3rd Avenue open again and to beautify Main Street. I do agree with that one, but we need to help him. There are ways to help him, not just find him and tell him, go on your way. And then number 3, being the voice that says, we don't need to raise all these taxes right now. We don't need to raise all these funds right now in this moment, like with the BID proposal. We do not need to do that right now at this moment. Give it a few years. I mean, we just got done with Corn Palace. You're working on the plaza. There's the rec center. You're trying to figure out the lake. Let's just pause.
Okay, and regarding Lake Mitchell improvement, how much do you believe the city should be willing to spend once a viable option is agreed upon?
It all depends on how much it raises taxes. That is ultimately what it comes down to. And then we need to sit down and figure out, okay, this is what it's going to cost us. What actually really revenue is it going to generate? I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it brings tourists. It might bring a few. No, the Corn Palace brings the most tourists. People don't come to Mitchell just for Lake Mitchell. No, there's no way.
So, what have been your sources of information regarding the Lake Mitchell project?
I just pretty much go to the city website. Been watching that. I've been kind of going over some of the minutes for city council. And just kind of keeping up on all that stuff that if they wanted the public to know, then they better provide it.
So, what are your thoughts of placing the final decision regarding the Lake Mitchell project in the voters' hands?
I totally 100% agree with it because ultimately they're the ones going to be paying for it.
Mitchell Main Street and Beyond is working toward establishing a business improvement district to raise funds for improving Mitchell's Main Street area. What financial commitment should the city offer to help the project succeed, or should the city steer clear?
I agree that the city should help involve with that. But like I say, let's give it a few weeks or a few years. We need to pause to allow, the citizens time to recuperate because they just raised all of our taxes. We need to just sit and pause for a while and let things situate first, because I have talked to some of the other businesses on Main Street. One of them, okay, she's a block off of Main. They come to her, they tell her taxes are going to be raised. Okay, so what are we doing for her? Nothing. So in turn, her prices are going to have to raise. Just stop. You can go out and, like I say, there's plenty of people willing to donate. It's a tax write-off. Why not try that avenue first rather than raising all these taxes even higher?
And what are your thoughts regarding improving the city's infrastructure over the next 5 years?
I do agree, because I am one of those houses that are affected by the infrastructure, the pipes. My husband and I, we replaced all of our piping in our house. We still do not have water pressure. So we know it's the main line coming into our house. So I do agree that, yes, we need to look at it, and especially with how many pipe bursts we've had over this last winter, it's just proven. So instead of worrying about like the Main Street projects and worrying about necessarily about the lake, because let's face it, we need to hammer down and figure out what problem really totally caused the frost for us to increase drastically. And we need to solve that problem before the lake can totally 100% be redone. Let's worry about our actual citizens, not just tourists.
How do you feel the city council is doing in setting the city's spending plan, and what ideas do you have for improving it?
Actually, I really haven't looked at that. I'm going to be completely honest. Just because I really have not had the time. Between the Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, American Legion Auxiliary, me running around for Veterans Polka Run. Yeah, I have not had any time to really sit down and situate with it. But if I'm elected, I did complete my online schooling for bachelor's in human resource management. I am willing, if I need to, I will sit down and I will problem solve. I will find the answers. So it's one of these things where, yeah, I might not have the knowledge right now, but I will find it.
Now, Deb, do you believe city councilors should focus on the needs and interests of their wards or the city as a whole?
City as a whole. There's no question about that. It's just kind of like, with me and my signs. You will not see any pre-bought, $100 plus spending on my campaign signs. Each one of them, I took the time, took the effort, took the thought, and handmade. So not one of my signs around town is identical. There is a little bit of a difference in each one of them. Just like our community, there's always a difference in one, there's always a difference in everybody.
What do you feel your role as a city councilor would be in maintaining order and decorum during council meetings? And would you support additional training to achieve that goal?
In order to better function as, a whole, training is important. But there again, it's at what cost? You do have your longtime council members, which are there. They can help train, quote unquote, the newer members coming in. They can help guide them. But no matter what, each individual is going to have their own opinions. And you're going to have those people that are not afraid to say no if they really don't believe in anything. You can't just have those that follow. You need the strong leaders.
And Deb, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Just that I am like I say, I'm for the little guy. I don't have the money to go out and, like I say, spend on all this campaigning. And I do agree. I do apologize to like my ward. I'm not able to necessarily get out and go meet people face to face, around the whole ward, because number one, there's a huge ward. And number two, I'm committed to my Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, Legion Auxiliary, and the Veterans for Veterans Polka Run, which have been taking up a great majority of my time. And that's where, like tonight, Scouting and the American Legion Auxiliary were continuing to put flags out at the cemetery. So that, it takes up most of my time, but I'm going to try to work it out next week to get around and try to meet some more of my ward. I did get to meet some when I was petitioning to be put on the ballot. So I might be going out to other areas. I have, one generally in mind that I believe would be a strong one.
Very good. And that's Deb Emme. She's a candidate for City Council in Ward 2.